Insperity presents the Small Business Advocate Show with Jim Blasingame, brought to you by FedEx, CareerBuilder.com, and Palo Alto Software. This is a copyrighted production of Small Business Network, Inc., all rights reserved.
Welcome back. It's 12 after the hour. Thank you very much for joining me. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'm Jim Blasingame, and you're listening to the Small Business Advocate Show. I'm glad you're here. Dr. Tim Irwin is here, too, ladies and gentlemen. Tim is a leading authority on leadership development, organizational effectiveness, and executive execution. He's an author, a speaker, and the author of a couple of books we've launched on this show, including Run with the Bulls Without Getting Trampled, and his new book is called Derail, 5 Lessons Learned from Catastrophic Failures of Leadership. He's our good friend, Tim Irwin. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, Jim. Great to be with you.
Good to have you back, Tim. Thanks for joining us. Tim, one of the things that when we talk about leadership on the show, you talk about leadership. I talk about what I spend a lot of time talking about is being an executive, a small business owner, thinking like an executive, using executive thinking, behaving like an executive, being the CEO of their company. And of course, one of the disciplines of being a CEO is leadership. And to me, one of the key fundamentals of leadership with your people is making sure that when you bring them on board, that they have a clear understanding of the values of the company, the goals of the company, how you treat people, the level of excellence that you expect from them, and that you expect that, and you plan on demonstrating to them. Those kinds of things. What do you think?
Well, Jim, you're exactly right, and it's interesting you bring this up. My wife and I were invited to an opening of a new store not long ago, and it's a retail store. And we went. I knew the people who were starting it. It's going to be a very unique sort of niche store. And it was funny. We got there a little bit early, and I observed an employee working. And he was a very good employee. It was obvious. I mean, he was doing a great job. But he was very much caught up in preparing the event. Mm-hmm. He was getting the refreshments ready and making sure all that. And a customer walked in and actually spoke to me. She says, do you work here? Mm-hmm. And I said, no, but this customer really wanted to do some business at that point. Mm-hmm. But this young guy was so caught up in being efficient and getting the food ready and so on, he didn't know. Now, you could say that was bad customer service. I would say it was a failure to understand how that business is going to relate to their customer base.
Right.
I read a book a number of years ago by some Emory professors called The Discipline of Market Leaders, and it really helped me think about this. And they said that there's only 3 ways of positioning yourself relative to your customers. Now this, by the way, Jim, you said a few minutes ago that we're all small business people. I'm a small business person. Mm-hmm. My wife owns a small business. I mean, I understand how this works. And this is something that we as small business people have to be very, very clear about. And
right.
What they said is that there are 3 different approaches to how you're going to relate to your customer base. You got to be good at all of them, but they said you got to lead with one. And to your earlier point, leaders have to be clear. They have to set the pace. They have to convey to their employees what they're going to be like.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the first approach is what this guy called operational efficiency. In other words, if I go to a fast food restaurant, I'm sure the people are nice, but I don't care about getting to know the servers there. I just want a meal in a hurry.
Well, and don't feel bad because they're so busy they don't want to get to know you either.
Well, I think you're right.
Yeah,
they could care less.
It's a mutual thing there. Go ahead.
Exactly. And Jim, that's actually exactly right because there's this profound agreement. I'm going in there. I don't want to take more than about 2 minutes to get my meal ordered, paid for, and move off to a table.
Right.
And that's operational efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
That's one way of presenting. And by the way, a lot of customers want that. You know, if I walk into an auto parts store, that's what I want. I just want to get the part. And get out.
However, and you've probably done this, if you frequent a fast food place or an auto parts store, then eventually they'll get to know you, and you'll pass a few niceties back and forth. And sometimes I'll tease the person serving me, especially if it's one of the ladies at the McDonald's or whatever. I might tease them a little bit, and they get to know you. So I mean that can happen. But as you say, in the beginning, it's just let's get the business done here.
The fundamental relationship between that business to me is quick service.
Yep.
Now, these guys said there's a second way you can relate, and that's by having very innovative products. I play golf, and I go to a golf store in our neighborhood, so it's not one of these big chain deals.
Mm-hmm.
And he has always got the latest, coolest, new things for golf. And I'm a sucker for any kind of new gadget. Anything I think can take a stroke off my game, I'm a sure.
You're a gearhead, aren't you?
I really am. And so, but they've always got the latest thing, and that's the way they're organized. They are trying to always be on the cutting edge of having new products available in their store.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third way, and this is where this business owner where Ann and I went to the event the other night, I think is a little off track, and that's where you have a close relationship with the customer.
Mm-hmm.
Having this close relationship with the customer is real. Now, all businesses have to have good customer service, but I'm talking about this is where they get to know you. These clothes that this store is going to sell are expensive, and they've got to have a close, intimate relationship with that customer. They've got to know them. They've got to know what their wants are. They've got to know their name. And I think the mistake that this person made when he was so caught up in the preparation is he saw that person walk in, he should have stopped what he was doing,
right,
walked over, introduced himself, said, I'm so glad you're here. How can I serve you? Tell me what your needs are, and so on. And that is very often the key is making sure that you know exactly what you want your employees to do.
And see, and this happens way too much these days. You walk in, and an employee is doing something, as you said, or they're talking to each other, and two of them are talking to each other, and they look at you, or if they even look at you, if they should look at you, it's as if you're interrupting them.
And, Jim, that's exactly right. I would say that's not an employee problem. I'd say that's a leadership problem.
There's no question about it, but it is absolutely rampant. It is epidemic in the marketplace these days.
Well, there's no question. As I said, no matter which of these three different ways...
It's a lack of leadership. It's no question. It's a lack of leadership. And small business owners, I got some bad news for you. I find it in your businesses just as much as I do in the big boxes. Small businesses are just as bad, unfortunately. And we're going to talk some more about this with our good friend Tim Irwin. His new book is called Derailed. Dr. Tim Irwin and I will be right back. Stay with us.
She was hanging on Johnny, he was holding on.
Insperity presents the Small Business Advocate Show with Jim Blasingame, brought to you by FedEx, CareerBuilder.com, and Palo Alto Software. This is a copyrighted production of Small Business Network, Inc., intended for the private use of our audience. Except as otherwise provided by copyright law, all other copying, redistribution, or publication without prior written consent is prohibited. All rights reserved.